10th, starting at 10:06, and it will be held virtually via WebEx. Once again, Happy New Year. It is so great to see you all and looking forward to seeing you in the new year. We hope that everyone had a restful holiday with friends and family, and I'm excited to be back. Thank you all for joining us. And we're gonna quickly start with roll call. And as folks, I still see the folks are still rolling in. As folks roll in, we'll make sure to tally up attendance. So with that being said, Community Board 1, District Manager Anthony Jordan.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. Anthony Jordan, District Manager, Community Board 1. I believe I'm joined by our new chair.
Great, thank you. Community Board 2, Rafael Acevedo.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. Ralph Acevedo, Board 2. Good morning, all. Happy New Year.
Good morning, Ralph. Community Board 3, Etta Ritter. Community Board 4, Thomas Alexander. CB5, we know that there was a conflict. Community Board 6, Rafael Moore. Community Board 7, Carla Cabrera Carrera. Community Board 8, Farah Cool. Community Board 9, William Rivera.
Good morning, Madam Deputy. This is Shirley San Andres Alonso, Deputy District Manager on behalf of District Manager William Rivera.
Good morning, Shirley. Thank you for being present. Community Board 10, Matthew Cruz. I believe he's out of office still. Community Board 11, Jeremy Warnicki. And Community Board 12, George Torres.
Good morning and Happy New Year, everyone.
Good morning. Happy New Year, George. And just really quickly, I just wanted to go over the changes that Chris mentioned. After much thought and consideration, the Bronx Borough President's Office has decided to move forward with hosting separate meetings of the Borough Service Cabinet, BSC, and Borough Board. This will allow for a more in-depth conversations as the topics will be tailored to the specific role of each entity. As a reminder, the Borough Board will address land use and policy issues, while Borough Service Cabinet will seek to ensure equitable service delivery throughout our borough and our districts. The members of the Borough Service Cabinet include the 12 district managers, in addition to representatives of our city agencies. And just as a reminder to all, we have surveyed both entities and have shared a schedule with tentative dates based on the responses that we received. If you have any concerns, questions, or comments, please share them via email and we will try to address them accordingly. Okay, so thank you so much to adjusting to the change so early in the new year. But again, I'm happy that I can see so many familiar faces this morning. Before, and I believe the agenda has been shared with you all, so let's dive right into it. The first item on our agenda is a presentation from the DOT, the Department of Transportation. But before we dive in, we just want to welcome and congratulate and introduce our newly appointed Bronx Borough Commissioner, Mr. Anthony Perez, who will share the presentation this morning. But I just want to once again congratulate you, Commissioner. As we all know, Commissioner Perez was appointed on December 4th, and he previously served as the Manhattan Borough Commissioner of Parks and Recreation, but he is no stranger to the Bronx, a son of the Bronx, and I know that we are in perfect hands under your leadership. So welcome, 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 Commissioner Perez. We are excited to have you on.
Thank you so much, WBP Peguero. It's my pleasure to be here with you all. You know, I've been trying to make my rounds little by little. I'll get to meet you all in person as well as virtually and on calls and responding to issues as they come up. Today, we're here to discuss public programming in our public spaces. We have a presentation prepared for you all. So we have a nice little team here to give you some more details. And I want to pass it over to Daisy Gonzalez, who's the Deputy Director of the Public Spaces team.
Thank you, Anthony. Good morning and Happy New Year, everyone. Thank you for having us. It is absolutely a pleasure to be virtually here. My name is Daisy Gonzalez. I'm the Assistant Director of Public Space Programming at the New York City Department of Transportation Office of Livable Streets. I oversee all programming at Open Streets and Plaza citywide. I'm very excited to be here. My team and I will be doing a quick presentation on our current OpenStreet application and programming. And I will let the team introduce themselves and we get started. Pass it to Sal so he introduce himself.
Hi, my name is Sal Gara. I'm the coordinator of public space programming here at the city's DOT, and I work very closely with Daisy and my colleague Burkina, who I will pass it off to you right now.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Burkina Morgan, also in the Public Realm team, working more specifically on open streets. I'll pass it back to Daisy.
Thank you. So we're going to begin with the presentation. Burkina, do you mind sharing the screen, please?
Actually, Daisy, before we jump to the presentation, I'm remiss to mention, I also want to flag, we recently had a promotion on our team, and Dorisa Cruz is officially the Deputy Borough Commissioner of our office as well. So I want to make sure to acknowledge her here. And we also have Holly Malone from our team here at the Bronx office. That's all. Thank you.
Congratulations, Larissa. Congrats.
Thank you very
Thank
much. I'm happy to be here with you all as I've been for the past few years. So looking forward to working with you all in this new capacity.
Congratulations. We got started. We're going to be sharing the presentation and we're going to kick us off with OpenStreet and Burkina.
All right, perfect. All right, so good morning again. So we just wanted to speak to you guys about our open streets and programming. And what we're going to do is really go through our open streets and open streets application, public space, and then the next steps. So 2023 for open streets has been extremely successful, or was extremely, I have to adjust to 2024, extremely successful. Starting off with Car Free Earth Day, we've had many signature events, Trick or Streets as most recently as October, along with a DOT Day and a number of others throughout the year. But when we talk about open streets, what we're really talking about is a permanent New York City program that transforms New York City streets and the roadways into public space for all. It allows for a range of activities that promote economic development, school support, and provides a new way for New Yorkers to enjoy cultural programming and build communities. And it's really community-based. It's one of the grassroots kind of programming that we have that's really run by community organizations that manage and host this public space in their own communities. And so there are three types of open streets. There's our limited local access, which is streets designated to pedestrians and cyclists, but this one actually has a special feature in allowing local vehicle access as well. And it's primarily for deliveries, accessoride, emergency vehicles. And then we have our full closure, which is strictly for pedestrian and cyclist use. So vehicle use on those closed streets is temporarily prohibited during those times, during active times, and it supports businesses, community organizations, and schools. And then we have one specifically for schools. Also, vehicles are not permitted during active times. It's used in order, like a lot of times, to pick up, drop off, recess, and extending their school out into the roadway that's either directly in front or adjacent to the school. These are some examples of limited local access that you can see. There are vehicles here. There are pedestrians and cyclists sharing that one space. Full closure, we have pedestrian use, there's some outdoor dining, and cyclists. There's a space for cyclists, but no vehicles. And this is an example of our full closure for schools. As you can see, there's space for pickup, drop off, outdoor recess, and play. And I'm going to pass it off to Sal to talk about programming.
I'll do this.
Okay.
So the public space programming showcases different kinds of activities that can be used to activate public spaces. These activities are all free for everyone to enjoy, and the purpose is to promote the positive use of public space and give us an idea how to reimagine the streets. Our programming list connects public spaces like open streets and plazas with local organizations that can engage communities and is also used as a planning tool for our open street partners and plaza partners to activate their own spaces. I'll pass it over to Sal. He's going to give us more details on the type of programming.
Thank you, Daisy. So there's 4 types of programming, and that includes 1 new category of production services and 1 revamped category of cycling, micromobility, and active lifestyle, just to reshift the focus and include more cycling and micromobility activity. So the first one is arts, culture, and design, and that includes music, dance, theater performances, the circus, and other kind of immersive cultural experiences. Next category is cycling, micromobility, and active lifestyle. As I mentioned earlier, these are learn to ride classes and safety education, group rides, fitness classes, yoga, meditation. Then you look at learning and educational. Those are book fairs, outdoor libraries, writing and drawing tables. And the last category of production services is really in support of those other 3 categories: stage management, any kind of live sound mixing, or audiovisual support for those other 3 categories. Here's some photographic examples of each category. So this is from our summer series that we hold, or that we held this past year in Queens at Corona Plaza. And this is a bike repair station at a Bike the Block event that DOT holds. This one is on Jennings Street in the Bronx. And this is for learning and educational. This is Street Lab over at East 141st Street. And last one, just an example of some production services. A lot goes into a performance, so you'll see a lot of cables and mic stands back there. And here is a quick timeline. So the application is currently open, and we are accepting applications until January 31st for programming. That's also the deadline to complete your OpenStreets application. If your OpenStreet launches on or before June 30th, and then we hope to let everyone know where they stand by spring 2024. If you have any questions, I'm going to put these email addresses in the chat. Please reach out to us anytime.
Thank you, Sal. Anybody has any questions, please let us know, or could you send us an email directly to the email address listed on the chat room.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, DOT. Any questions from our audience? I just want to acknowledge that District Manager Etta Ritter is on. Good morning, Etta. I see Anthony Jordan, your hand is raised.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. I wanted to ask a question, and congratulations, Commissioner Perez and Commissioner Cruz. Great colleagues, and looking forward to working with you in your new positions. Deputy and team, a question about community board. Usually in the street activity mayor's office, street activity permits office asks community boards to opine upon approvals for street closings and other events as it relates to these type of permits where it may impede traffic or other or actual cars be moved, et cetera, et cetera. Community board is my understanding. The community board one has, and under this particular program, has not had the opportunity to opine upon decisions before the Department of Transportation makes these type of decisions in our district. My question to the commissioner and the team is, how does the Department of Transportation look to engage community boards in before these type of permits are awarded, whether a letter of support from the community board is requested, or at least ask the community board to opine before a decision is made regarding this. The community boards are the agencies on the ground that has the connections with the community and the residents and folks who maybe have cars parked in certain areas where these type of permits may be offered for open streets, etc. And I think it'll be a great opportunity to engage the community board on that level. So has the Department of Transportation, if not in the past, consider in the very near future to allow community boards the opportunity to opine upon these type of decisions before they're made. Thank you, Madam Deputy.
Sure. So we send a letter when the open street locations are finalized, and the letter will say that it is sent to the community board and all elected officials, where you have 45 days to let us know if there's any feedback, if you have any questions, comments, concerns about the locations. It'll specify what days and times those locations will be used. And so that's the opportunity that we'll likely do that sometime in the spring.
So I wanted, if I may, Madam Deputy, I wanted just to speak to that particular process.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure, during that time, Deputy Commissioner, is the organization made aware that they already received approval before the community board is able to opine, or is it a part of the process before like when the application is sent, a carbon copy could be sent to the community board, or so that we again can either hold committee hearings, etc., to ensure again that the community is engaged in the decision process, and especially the community board and that level, and we can have a clear understanding so that we know, again, we're as an organization responsible for having the eyes and ears on the ground of the community and engaging the community. I'm just wanting to again speak to the process, whether or not when the applications are submitted, or is the community board considered to hold a hearing on this particular issue. If not in the past, is it something that the department will consider, especially going forward in the very near future? Thank you.
So just to make sure that I understand, so when we send a letter, it hasn't been finalized. This is for the opportunity for anyone to give us feedback about your thoughts about the organization, thoughts about how the programming has gone, thoughts about times and days of the week. And then we would work together with whatever commentary we get to come up with something that works for everybody. The goal is to try to provide, positive public programming. And so whatever way we can work with elected officials and community boards to make that happen, we will do so.
Thank you, Commissioner. You know that I've been passionate, and I will talk offline more about this, but this is something particularly issue that's come up in our community board fairly recently and often. And so we would love to talk more about the process and how the community board is engaged in the very early stages of not just receiving the letter, but reviewing applications and holding hearings and making determinations as partners in the process before approvals are made. Thank you, Deputy.
Understood. I actually will also put my information in the chat. I know most of you have it, but just in case, you don't have to wait for this process to let us know about any of your comments. We can go ahead and have a robust dialogue even before you actually get the letter with the official dates and times. And Anthony, I know we've had many conversations about the open street process, and so happy to continue that.
Thank you so much, Deputy Commissioner, and thank you, Anthony, for that question. I think it speaks true to the knowing that open streets looks different for different boroughs. And so I think that Anthony's concerns are what you've raised are super valid, and I look forward to the outcome of that conversation. Before we take the next question, I just want to acknowledge that District Manager Carla Cabrera Carrera is on as well. Thank you so much, Carla, for joining us. George, your hand is raised.
Thank you. I have 3 real quick questions. I'll just say all 3 and then you can answer them. One, I travel often and I drive often. So are the Open Streets program done with enough planning to show up on the GPS mapping system so that when I'm planning a trip, and I'm a retard now, just like a spell check, I use GPS everywhere I go, even in the Bronx that I've lived in for most of my life. And it's frustrating if I come upon a street that's been closed and it doesn't show up on my GPS map, and therefore it's not planned. So do you do that with enough planning so that it can do that? Second question is, I've traveled, or I've had to buy stuff, and I've had to travel to Brooklyn to do so. And I noticed in very busy commercial corridors, they shut down the streets. They put those bike racks, the image that you showed. There's no programming other than that they shut down the streets. So is the open streets require programming, or you just can shut them down for shutting them down sake so that people can walk in the middle of the street rather than on the sidewalk? And my final question is, this happened in my community board several years ago. Again, this was, I guess, an iteration of open streets. There was really a lack of coordination with other agencies, especially the NYPD. They shut down Webster Avenue. The Women of Woodlawn put in a request, not Women of Woodlawn, the Woodlawn Collective put in a request to shut down Webster Avenue. I forget from where, 234th Street, 236 or something. It was 3 blocks. And it was a complete disaster. Like, I got calls from the precinct, like, why did we approve this? We had zero input on this. And again, it was a complete, like, police department refused to put up the barriers. I guess some compromise was worked out, but again, it was without the input. So speaking to Anthony's point, it was without the coordination of the community board, which is fine with me. I don't plan bike racks and I don't plan barriers and stuff like that. But Webster Avenue is a very busy corridor. If the Bronx River is ever backed up, people use Webster Avenue as a sort of alternative. That's bus route. And they did nothing. Again, I'm not trying to throw the Woodlawn Collective under the bus. They haven't really existed now as an organization, but they had just put in an application and then came to us after the fact, like, oh, hey, do you want to do something on the street? And we were like, no. And they were like, well, we were approved. And again, no programming, zero programming. So I'm just curious, you run the risk of antagonizing regular people who are not familiar with a lot of stuff, running into a street closure when that's probably the only way to get to something. So that's all I'm suggesting, is that if you're going to do something, if you're going to close a street, you should do it for everything that you listed on those 4 things, where you do some sort of programming, that it's in GPS, and that there's full notification of everybody, including the precinct, and that the precinct is aware of this and on board with many of these things. Those are my 3 questions.
Thanks, George. So I can jump in on some of this, and we'll pair up with the answers to the other ones. The GPS question is interesting. We can look at doing that so there's notification, but I think there's also complexity there too, because everyone uses different apps. For example, I use Waze, and Waze is user-submitted data. So someone needs to actually go on the app and say, this road is closed because of construction or a different reason. Some people use Apple Maps, some people use Google Maps. So I think that's one of the things that we'll have to see, so it's compatible across the board. But for example, in my case, and I think Waze is one of the most popular apps, there is no way to pre-submit that data on a global basis. It's all user submitted. So we'll look into that, and we're happy to coordinate as much advance notice as possible. To your question about programming in open spaces, I think what the Deputy BP mentioned is true. Every community is different. Every area is different. I knew growing up on 182nd and Ryer, whenever they closed 182nd Street, I used to love it, because that's when I could ride my bike on the street and not have concerns about any cars coming, or just run around. So sometimes some communities do want that. They do want just an open space to have kids to be able to run around, not necessarily need to have a face painting activity or some other type of programming. But I will pass that over to my colleagues, either Daisy or Derisa, that can comment more on the policy now in terms of closing the street and whether there is related programming scheduled for that day. And then your last question about that particular incident. Yeah, listen, I agree with you. Webster Avenue is one of those streets that I don't know why that was approved or what happened there. We'll be very mindful of that. That's one thing that we want to be very careful about, that we want to have that balance between creating more opportunities, new opportunities for people, but not creating a huge inconvenience for others while doing that. So we review each case by case closely, and you have my commitment that moving forward, we wouldn't have an instance like that where a big arterial road like Webster Avenue would be blocked off that way, especially without communication to the board. So
Can I
go
can I
ahead.
jump in real quick?
Yep.
So just to address some of the questions. So in terms of the GPS, well, I'll preface all this by saying the program has evolved every year significantly. And so in terms of GPS, initially a few years ago, I know that there was relationship with, I think, Google. So it'd show up on some maps. Since then, for various reasons that relationship has either like they've chosen not to put on open streets, and we're trying to repair that and figure out other ways for it to be reflected on GPS. But as of right now, due to some of the challenges that have already been mentioned, we're not just actively on GPS when an open street is active. In addition to that, I know you mentioned no activity, and Commissioner Perez is absolutely correct. Like, activity is not necessary on every street. There are some open streets that are that don't have much activity, but they're closed 7 days a week, and the kids love it, and the community loves it. So it depends on where it is. And some of the objective is to increase circulation, right? We want to be able to increase the way that cyclists are able to use the street, the way that pedestrians are able to use the street. And some of this is really reimagining how we use the street. And it's really about how the community wants to reimagine it. When we get an application, we don't go out and search for, the community comes to us. So there's somebody in that community that wants to reimagine how the street is being used. Then that last one, once again, the way that we have gone through the approval process has evolved significantly, especially since the program is now a permanent program. So there's a lot of processes in place that were not during that time in terms of closing Webster. So I understand the frustration completely. But NYPD not being notified is not something that would really happen at this point. Through our approval processes, we do send out notifications to other agencies as well as like internally. And then, you know, we can work on that process and talk about the process in terms of notifying community boards, but that's a part of our process as well. And so I don't see something like that happening in that way again. And if it does, I mean, please reach out so that we can kind of remedy it immediately. But yeah, if you have any questions, once again, please email us, reach out to us immediately so that we can try and resolve anything that may come up.
The only thing that I would suggest, DOT has a vision. They've articulated it's on your website. I will just say people notice traffic, and you've done a lot of road reductions, and closing a street, any street, is going to impact that further. So I understand that you say that one person or in the community requested it. That is significantly the problem. You and listen, I'm gonna keep it real. Most of the people that we deal with are busybodies, and similar to what happened with the Woodlawn request, it wasn't supported by the community. It antagonized the community further. It antagonized other city agencies, and I had to deal with the ramifications because, unlike DOT, well, I mean, I shouldn't say this because I don't know it, but for a fact, you guys don't have customer service. I'm your customer service. People complain to 311, and then 311 redirects them to the community board, and then people come away from this fact, oh, well, the community board didn't do anything for us. So I have to deal with that. So I'm just saying, please be mindful. And again, once again, to Anthony's point, what role does the community board play? For example, for the street activity permit office, SAPO, we request that they collect a petition from people, from the neighbors living at specific addresses and say, hey, are you cool if we close the street down? Because the way it existed is you had one person who thought it would be cool, no additional programming, no nothing. So all the people saw was that we were creating more of a traffic jam on Webster Avenue. And again, Webster, to the commissioner's point, it is a very busy artillery. So, that was a bad example. But again, even closing Bartow or any other insignificant street, there are ramifications because you guys have implemented other things that have already reduced traffic flows in other places because you've tried to slow down traffic. So that's all I'm suggesting.
Sure. So I'll just mention quickly. Well, one thing is, you are looking at DOT's customer service rep. It's me, it's Theresa, it's Holly, it's our team. We get all the complaints. I get the calls. I get yelled at. We're here, and I hear you. Listen, I get it, but I also want to balance that out. You know, especially in the Bronx, every borough's different. Every community is different. In the Bronx, we have like 9 or 10 open streets. It's not like they're everywhere in every corner and every street is closed. It's a very specific set of programming that's happening here. If there are particular issues with those that haven't happened recently, we can troubleshoot those. As we get new requests, we'll review them closely. We'll work with you on them. But again, I want to clarify that point too. That the point that was being made that it came from the community was that this was organic and homegrown. That it wasn't like DOT coming from 55 Water Street saying we're closing down the street. It's like someone in the community requested this, and that's how it started. I think that was the point that we were trying to make there. Not to say that, well, one person wants it, so everyone has to deal with it. That's not what we're saying either. Everything is a balance. We'll take everything on a case by case basis and make sure that we're appropriately communicating with you. And we agree with you. You should be part of the conversation. You are the eyes and ears of the community. And we want to work with you to make sure that this works and moves forward in the right way.
I just want to add, just want to highlight, like I said, there's a 45-day period once we notify you that someone applied for an open street. Please let us know if you have any feedback. And there's also opportunities where we'll tell them like, hey, this is not a good street. Maybe you can use this one. That's also something we'd love community board input on, of streets that, you know, maybe it might be more helpful that they might consider. So we'll definitely be in touch with that.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Before we take the next question, I just want to acknowledge that Community Board 6 District Manager Rafael Moore has also joined. Thank you for joining. With that, Ralph?
Hi, good morning. Thank you, Madam Deputy. Good morning, DOT, and congrats uh, to the rest of them. Stuck here. There we go. I don't want to. I don't want to be repetitive, but my questions are more in gear because you keep mentioning every borough's different, every community is different. In my community, we did have an application, and we rely heavily on the recommendations of the police department because some of these streets are like hotspots for them. A lot of high crime, and the police not need, even though it's during the day, they still need to get involved. And last year, we had an applicant that came in. There was a lot of back and forth. So my question is, who makes the final decision? Like if a board is objecting to an application, the police department is objecting to it, is it your office? Is that downtown? And then also, if let's just say an application went through, they're operating, the open street a day, a week or so, and the programming starts to change and it's becoming more of a demonstration and protest, is those guidelines will still fall under the open street? Because that's what is going to happen eventually here, because these organizations, they want to have concerts, they want to demonstrations, and I don't think that's the spirit of the open street. So if we're going to object to it beforehand or after they have the application, who makes that decision on your end? That's my question, because that's where the police department, at least my local precinct, the challenges that we have. So thank you.
So, and not to be repetitive, but it's kind of like we're trying to balance the need for positive public space programming. And I know what location you're referring to, where we had issues the year before due to like false advertisement. Then we tried to give them a chance last year. It seemed like it went a little bit better, but we're relying on you guys to let us know. And so once you let us know, once if PD has issues too, what we're going to do is try to work with you. Number one, to identify if there's another location, because like I said, we're trying to program positively. If this street is a particular issue, but there's an adjacent street that might work better, we're happy to accommodate that way as well. So I think that that's ultimately what we're looking for, is if there's a location, even from last year, that was a problem, please let us know, and that way we can reevaluate if they apply again, how we would be working with them moving forward.
Thank you. So that decision is coming out of your office though, correct? Because the challenge, my local precinct told me they had to deal with someone at DOT downtown. Like they had to go outside of the borough for this. And it just, delayed this whole process. Like we were supportive of the open street relocated it, but there was a lot of issues, and it took almost a month to get resolved. So if we're coming to you even in this 45-day period, objecting or relocating the street, who is making that decision? That's my question.
So what we do is we work with our public space team. So it's kind of a joint decision. And that's why I'm saying like we're here obviously in the Bronx. And so if you send it to me, like I will work as quickly as possible to get it resolved. And so that's what we're hoping for in this process, is to let all the community boards know, the borough president's office know. If you're having an issue with an open street, please let us know, because we can directly respond in a quicker manner.
Awesome. I appreciate that, Darissa. Thank you so much, and congratulations again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your question, Rafa. I'm not seeing any other hands raised for DOT. Any final questions before we move on? All right. Well, with that being said, thank you so much to the Bronx DOT
Thank you.
team. Thank you. We will, just as a note to everyone, to our district managers that are on, the DOT team has shared their direct contact information in the chat. So please review those and save those as well as the open streets and programming initiatives. And we will also share the PowerPoint presentation as a follow-up to this conversation. So thank you so much. Once again, congratulations to our newly appointed Bronx Commissioner and Deputy Commissioner. Thank you to the entire DOT team. And I know that together as a collective, we will find a perfect balance and a compromise to open streets and our programming, because we want to see them in the Bronx. We want to see them thrive. So thank you so much. Before we move on to the next presenter, I just want to acknowledge that we've been joined by Community Board 11, and also big congratulations to newly appointed Madam Chair Clarissa from Community Board 1. Congratulations and welcome. Happy to see you on. Thank you for being on. With that said, we will move on to DYCD. So we have the Assistant Commissioner for Strategic Partnerships, Jessica Vida Hernandez, which will be presenting on agency-wide structural changes, information on new borough managers assigned to the communities, and CMS providers, contracts that are new to DYCD, along with other program updates. With that, at DYCD, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I hope everyone can hear me. I hope it's thumbs up if you can. Awesome. Thank you. So again, my name is Jessica Vidas Hernandez. I'm the Assistant Commissioner for Strategic Partnerships here at DYCD. Strategic Partnerships is a new division. Actually, it's a division it's a department that has expanded to a division, and we're taking upon a little bit more at DYCD, because we're truly invested in engaging in our communities moving forward. And so I'm here to just share a little bit of information about DYCD structure and how our commissioner, as we are all invested in making sure that we're developing our communities. Our commissioner has a vision to make sure that DYCD is engaged throughout the 5 boroughs. And in doing that, what he's done is he has pretty much broken up into our staff into borough managers. And so at this time, we have borough managers from different departments with different type of backgrounds in different services to represent DYCD, to be engaged and to be going out to the community board meetings, to be going out to community events, to be going out to just to different community opportunities, to make sure that the community is aware of DYCD, the services that are provided, and making sure if there's any issues or concerns or anything that we need to kind of come together, whether it's to listen to the community and figure out if there's a partner or there's an opportunity or an initiative that we can bring together to make sure that we can address any concerns or any highlights or opportunities. So that's one thing that we do want to make sure that that you will be seeing more of DYCD in your community board meetings, whether virtual or in person. We'll ask them to make sure that we'll send out an email to introduce you to them. And so then if you're ever in need of anything, that you know that we're there for you. So that's one piece of an update. The other one is in 2023, DYCD inherited from the Mayor's Office of Criminal Justice, the Crisis Management Services contracts. We call them the CMS contracts, and many of you guys may know of them. We have services, what we call Cure Violence, as one of the services in their network. And so the Cure Violence teams are providers that we actually fund, that when there is an issue that has to do with violence, that they are credible messengers that go out to the community to be able to help de-escalate the situation. They are actually assigned through catchment areas. And so at this time, we are working with those contracts and we're working with those providers. One, to learn more about them and the programs that they do and the services that they provide and seeing how they can actually fit into our network. And two, also for them to learn more about the services out there that we have to make sure that we are growing that network and we're providing the best services to your community. So that's one of the areas that we want to make sure that you're aware of, that's happening. Recently, we've done these meet and greet meetings at the 4 highest gun violence precincts, 4 of them actually in the Bronx. And what we've done is we've been able to bring our CMS providers along with all the DYCD funded programs that we have, just for them to come together and just learn about each other and figure out what's the best way to communicate and to make referrals. And so we're working on that right now. And what we intend to do is some type of a resource fair during the spring to invite the community to get to know DYCD and get to know the services that we provide. So that's the second update that I have for you. And last but not least, I do want to say that, we will be attending these meetings to make sure that you have some information about what's happening. So right now, our applications for Ladders for Leaders is open right now. So any young person from the ages of 14 to 16 and up to be able to apply for the Ladders for Leaders. It is a great opportunity for young people. And many times these young people are actually assigned to your particular offices. So if you know anyone interested, please make sure to visit our website. I'll make sure that I'll share the information in the chat. I also do invite you to go to our social media at NYC Youth because you'll be able to have more information about anything else that's coming up along the way. So those are my updates for now. And then I'll also share some other information in the chat. And if you need anything, I just want you to know that we're here for you. That will be available at all times. Thank you so much. And any questions that you may have.
Thank you so much, Assistant Commissioner. We really appreciate that presentation. With that being said, I'll turn it over to Anthony Jordan.
Thank you, Madam Deputy. Assistant Commissioner, who is the borough manager or the borough person for the Bronx?
At this time right now, we have Nicole Sumner, part of the strategic partnership team. That's my department, but we'll have a list of other borough managers from the Bronx that we'll share with you and their email information. So then that way you can contact them. Some of them come from the workforce department, others come from the youth services department. So if you have any questions in a particular area, that we'll be able to address it.
And so is one borough manager per borough or multiple borough managers since there are so many community boards?
So it's by borough, not by community boards, but we do have so for a particular borough, we'll have pretty much from, like, you could say 8 to 10 borough managers within the city agency within DYCD that will be available to provide any support. You
And,
may end up seeing different borough managers at a meeting, because what the idea is for them to just spread out, go to different community board meetings, and then come back, provide information. And as they're engaging the community, they may be able to attend one meeting or the other. But the idea is to be able to just make sure that we are invested in going out to the community and meeting with you.
and my last question is, do you happen to have a list of the contracted agencies by community board, specifically to know what type of programming does DYCD have designated to what community boards, so that district managers and community board members could know X organization has X contract to provide X amount of services to the specific neighborhood in the community board, since we all cover very different neighborhoods in the community. I know historically, when in the procurement department, when organizations applied to respond to RFPs, community boards were asked to provide a letter of support for those particular submissions to RFPs. I'm not sure if that's still a policy, but I'm just interested in learning more about what agencies have, what contracts in our community to provide X amount of services. That would be good if you could share with the Borough President's Office, and the Borough President's Office will share with the community boards. Thank you, Madam Deputy.
Sounds good. Yes, we can definitely share that information. And we also invite you to go and visit our Discover DYCD, which is what we call our Google DYCD, where you can actually punch in a zip code or any other neighborhood that you're looking for, because people do come to your office and you know of some family or someone looking for some assistance. And by just going out to that website, you can actually see what services are in that area based on zip code or mile or however you request it. But we can definitely give you that list for you to have. And then if you have any other questions in regards to RFPs or anything else, we can definitely have that conversation overall. I think there's one more hand.
Yes,
Or
thank you.
two more hands.
Before I take the next question, I just want to acknowledge that community board, we've been joined by community board for District Manager Thomas Alexander. With that, Etta?
Good morning, all. Thank you so much for that. I'm piggybacking off of Anthony Jordan a little bit, and I would like to request that the Bronx directors try to start sending the community boards information on youth programs that are available. Because we do have a youth committee, and I believe most of the community boards have youth committees, and that would really be helpful to know when jobs are available or different training programs are available. I understand you have a website that we could go to and we could look these things up. But when you know that something is being pushed out in a certain time period, it would be good to have, the information on hand that is sent directly to us so that we can send it out to our youth committees, members, and just to get it out to the community at large. As you know, our community districts, most of, well, mine's anyway, that's one of the things the kids are lacking, training, and they're underserved when it comes down to jobs a lot of times. So it would really be good to know what's available to them, especially between the ages of 16 and 24. I just received something recently, I want to say last week, that y'all already starting to look for people for summer youth. Is that correct?
So at this moment, right now, Ladders for Leaders is a component of Summer Youth. So I do welcome you to visit the link. It's in the chat. You can get a little bit more information. But Summer Youth Employment, I believe the application, we're hoping to launch it a little earlier. Usually it's done in March, but we're hoping to do it a little earlier. So definitely what we can do is share that information with the Borough President's Office, so then that way it can be deployed. And then as we go along the way, we could definitely make sure that we have some type of communication so you have the information that you need. Yeah. The reason why I ask about NYC youth and social media is just sometimes the information comes like immediately and then you'll get the information 2 days later. But just having that information and sharing with the families, especially the young people, that's how they communicate now. And by having that information and they see it, they know to apply it right away, or they can start the application.
Okay, so do you have a flyer on that I can get out?
We can try to get you some information so we can share out for sure.
Yeah, so yeah, I
Absolutely.
can get that out and then they could download it on their phones. That would be excellent. That's a great resource.
Definitely. We can send you what I can do is I can send you what we normally do with a table setup. When we do table setups in the community, we have these kind of stands with QR codes, and then people just kind of scan the QR code.
That's a new
And
thing.
whether it's the Google DYCD that I called, right, Discover DYCD, where parents can actually go in there and just kind of zip code just to see what's going on, or just the actual information about like the different services.
I would appreciate that. I really
mm,
would. Thank you so
Awesome.
much.
Absolutely. And then the other thing is like if you do have an event, community board have a lot of events, right? And you need a tabling. That's also another way that we're engaging with the community and making sure that we share that information out. So thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to put you down as part of my resources. Thanks.
Sounds good.
Thank you for your question, Etta. Up next, Rafael.
Hi, yes. I want to thank you for bringing up cure violence programs. Board 6 had our local cure violence provider come present for our public safety committee. We raised several questions about whether or not the provider was providing the same quality of services that other providers are providing in the Bronx. We requested more information and never received it, so I submitted a FOIL request to DYCD asking for this information, and I've yet to receive a response to the request. It's been 60 days. I know there's another 30 days left legally, but I wanted to know, is there someone that I can speak to at DYCD to try to get an answer to this FOIL request?
So if you allow me to, I can get back to you and make sure that we have that information for you.
Okay, great.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I'll put the FOIL request number in the chat.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions for DYCD? Going once? Marisol? Do you have a question?
Yes, I do. I'm sorry. I just wanted to know which were the 4 precincts that you engaged in with the CMS contracts.
Right. So there are the 4 that are part of the 6 high gun violence are the 44, the 42, the 40th, and I believe it's the 43. I can double check on that one.
Yeah, if you could just let us know when you're having those again, so that we can so that we could be aware of when they're actually taking place.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And just so I can share a little bit, we're in communication with the borough president, and she actually attended some of those meet and greets, and it was really good to see her, and we had good feedback, and just also some feedback from her about like how else to engage with the community. So we're definitely taking that into consideration. So we broke down into phases. Phase 1 was to make sure that we shared with the CMS providers the information about DYCD and the services that we have. Phase 2 is networking within the programs. Now phase 3 is like, let's present to the community and let's come together as one to the community. So you'll be notified, and then everyone's invited to come. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Assistant Commissioner. And again, I believe you shared some links on the chat and contact information. So for folks that are on this call, please take advantage. We have a commitment from DYCD, and we look forward to working with the new Bronx Borough managers from your agency. Thank you. Thank you so much. With that being said, does anyone have any announcements that they want to share before we move on to the closing of our meeting? No? All righty. Great. Just really quickly, I have a couple of announcements on behalf of the Bronx Borough President. Oh, was there a hand raised? Did I miss? Kira, did I see your hand raised?
Sorry, that was a mistake.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Just want to make sure. Wonderful. So on behalf of the Bronx Borough President, the BP has rolled out a series of fire safety education workshops in partnership with FDNY. I know that Kira and our community boards unit has been in touch with you all and with your community boards to encourage sign up. So if you're interested in bringing fire safety education workshops to your community boards, whether it's general board meetings or any other meetings, we're happy to collaborate and help you bring this resource to your community board. But we just want to let you know that we've been working with local community-based organizations with the hopes of educating our community and reducing fires. We've seen an increase in the last couple of months. And so we want to ensure that folks are aware of what to do. And we are tapping into the FDNY and the American Red Cross. We're going to have a series of these workshops. And so we will be sharing widely and broadly our flyers of our upcoming events that are open to the public. We're also working very closely with the NYCHA TAs. So hosting FDNY fire safety workshops with our NYCHA TAs as well, in addition to community-based organizations and our community boards. I see that you have a question, Rafael.
Yeah, just something that I've been working on here around fire safety is speaking to consumer affairs about regulating bike shops. the city changed the law around e-bike batteries, and obviously a lot of these fires come from e-bike batteries. Consumer Affairs went to a bunch of bike shops on East Tremont and found that they were selling batteries that are now illegal, that are not safe and are likely to explode. I'm wondering if it's possible to invite Consumer Affairs to come talk to Borough Cabinet to talk about e-bike battery safety.
Absolutely. And we are also going to have a borough-wide event. That one's still underway. But we're working with the Bronx Zoo to have a borough-wide fire safety education workshop. And I think to your point, Rafael, that's a great point. We should bring Department of Consumer Affairs to that particular workshop as well. So thank you for that. And our team is taking notes, so we'll make sure to bring in Consumer Affairs to discuss that. So thank you for that. And I just want to let you guys know that this partnership is at no cost. So if you're interested, if your particular community board is interested, reach out to Marisol and we will work with FDNY to set up a workshop for your community board. In addition to that, we have our Martin Luther King celebration coming up on the 16th. We will share a flyer. This event is in partnership with Union Grove. So feel free to share widely and attend as well. We look forward to celebrating with you all. And just in closing, the February 7th Borough Service Cabinet meeting will be rescheduled for February 14th. As I told Marisol, she is breaking hearts or maybe mending hearts for Valentine's Day, hosting our next Borough Service Cabinet meeting for February 14th. So I look forward to seeing you there. And we all know for our Borough Board, we're looking to have that in person, and you will receive the updated date for that as well. Before we close, I am seeing some hands. I believe Maria Centeno, your hand was raised.
Yes. Hi, I just wanted to say hello to everyone. My name is Maria Centeno. I'm from the Department of Design and Construction. I just shared a link on our community outreach and some of our materials and videos and information on our agency. And I look forward to attending regularly. Thank you. And Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Thank you so much. Before I take any other questions or comments, I just want to turn it over to Kiara. Kiara?
Everyone, I just want to announce that the community board application will be going live over the next week. As always, we want to work with you guys on outreach, getting people to apply to the board, working with your board members on reapplying for their seat. As last year, we are looking strongly at attendance. We're going to be working with you. Alexis has asked for you all to send in your attendance for the past year, so please continue to send that in to us. The application will be electronic again this year. It'll be on our website, and it'll be in Spanish and English. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Jeremy, I think you had your hand raised.
I heard what you said about the Borough Board, but just to clarify, the next Borough Cabinet meeting, will it be in person, online, both?
The next Service Cabinet meeting will be remote.
Service, yeah, that's what I meant. All right, thank you.
Thank you. All righty. So with that said, thank you all for joining. Happy New Year. And we are looking forward to a beautiful 2024 in collaboration and in community. Thank you all for joining this morning. And we will follow up with information, PowerPoint presentations, and flyers that we discussed this morning. Take care.
Thank you.